Hello, my name is Peyton Cuellar, and I'm going to be talking about the two-year Integrated Agriculture and Nutrition and Health Behavior Change Communication Program for my Week 5 Public Health 590 discussion board. The program was put on by the Helen Keller International team, and it focuses on reducing anemia, wasting, and stunting in children under the age of 5 in Burkina Faso, which is a country in sub-Saharan Africa. The study focused on comparing using an older woman leader or a health committee member to give home visits twice a week for once a month to help reduce the aforementioned problems. It specifically focused on educating women on women's nutrition, anemia prevention and control, iodine intake, prevention of vitamin A deficiency, breastfeeding practices, complementary feeding practices, nutritional care for sick and severely malnourished children as well. In this program, there were villages that they focused on. It ended up being a total of 55 villages that were randomly assigned to different groups. There were 3 different groups they could have been assigned to. There was a treatment group that was implemented by the older women leaders, a treatment group that was implemented by the health committee members, and a control group. These villages were chosen based on if they have access to water in the dry season, and if they had met the population size criteria for the program. Another thing that was mentioned within the program was that if the villages didn't have access to water in the dry season, or if their water pumps were broken for some reason, the individuals did go out and fix the water pumps and things like that for these villages. Didn't just leave them high and dry. But that is just a quick overview of the program that was mentioned in the article. So the program that self-evaluated its efficacy pretty well. It utilized survey data of the mothers from both baseline and end-line data to compare, and then it also did various clinical assessments on the actual children themselves and utilized baseline and end-line data for that as well. As in clinical assessments, they did take physical blood tests of the children to test for anemia and things like that. Attrited households were removed from the comparison when giving statistics, and they assessed the anthropometric features: anemia, diarrhea, agriculture production, household dietary diversity, maternal knowledge, and IYCF practices using difference in difference estimates derived from linear regression analysis. After reviewing the quiz for evaluating bias within a randomized control trial, a few things stood out. There were 6 sections that we were told to review. The first one being objectivity of the program in and of itself. I found that there was good data that backed up the claims within this article. All the statistics seemed to be relevant, as well as calculated in a very rational manner. There was little indicated that was done specific to avoid bias, though it was specifically mentioned that it was a cluster randomized control trial designed for the program, which randomized control trials are the highest level of trialing that you can do. Obviously, there's no blinding involved in this, as the interviewers do have to know, and interventionists have to know who is getting what intervention. The next is internal design validity, and it was found that the testing methods and data collection seem to be good, and no extreme biases are noted, and it is very relevant to the focus population, the entire program. This means that it is a valid study. Threats to statistical conclusion validity, no significant findings, as there was a fairly large sample for this study that was done. Again, 55 villages. They did say that most of the groups that were in the control groups did not return the end line studies because they didn't have any sort of connection with the people that were providing them the information. Whereas in the other groups, it was easier to get that information back again. But again, it is still a large enough sample, and they took other measures to kind of help negate bias in that regard. Construct validity. The initial intervention and program attempted to utilize culturally competent methods and utilize multiple different methods to track progress and determine the efficacy of their program. External validity. While this intervention utilized good program design, it is not easily generalizable due to the specificity of the program to the affected area. We may be able to utilize some of the same ideas for other areas, specifically looking to see if utilizing prominent women or other leaders within the community or using healthcare professionals would be better, would be a really good finding that could be utilized in other areas. But a lot of it was specified specifically to these villages in sub-Saharan Africa. It may not easily translate into other areas. Utilization. The program evaluators did a great job at packaging the information from the evaluation, and there is evidence that is significant to the program that was implemented, but there was no further policy changes that were indicated, made, or suggested in the paper. The paper just specifically stated the facts and left it at that. So the utilization did leave something to be desired for this program. There were no major operational problems that were noted throughout the paper, which is good. It helps reduce bias, as well as the fact that for overall, this was a relatively unbiased randomized control trial for this intervention. Had some very good information. If you have any further questions about this trial, feel free to leave me a comment, and my lecture or discussion question will be listed below in the little text box. Thank you so much.